Well, before we get started today, I'd just like to welcome you to the Bruce for Liberty podcast number 2. And we are sitting here in my studio today in Gilroy, California, the HAM studios here. And like I said, I want to welcome you guys to the Bruce for Liberty podcast. We got a great show for you today. But before we get started, I want to remind you of an event that's coming up on December 11th. So if you have some time in the morning on December 11th, between 9 and noon, Jason Stapleton is going to be giving up the goods. I'm telling you right now, if you had any intentions on wanting to start a side hustle, if you had any intentions on wanting to start your own autonomy, small business, something that can bring in a couple $100 a month or $100 a month, or even, thousands of dollars a month, we can get you started on something like that. And all you have to do is sign up. It's absolutely free. He's going to be giving you all kinds of information, resources, and just knowledge that he's attained over the years in being able to bring people to what they need to do as far as doing businesses, small businesses, and starting up something in this digital age, because it's never been easier right now than to go into business than it is today. So right now, I want to show you that you can go to HTTPS www.stapletoniagency.com/discover/Bruce. You go there, you fill out the application, first name, the email, and you register for free. There is absolutely no obligation to that you're going to be asked for at all. It's a free event to help you unlock the hidden talents and skills, passions, and abilities that you can use to increase your income and your impact in 2022. It's a virtual event. It's going to be great time to be there and discover, number one, Jason Stapleton, and discover just maybe the talents that you have. Maybe that's stuff that's going to propel you into 2022, because you're never going to know what's going to be going on in our economy and how to get through this economy. And right now, this economy is changing from a brick and mortar to a completely digital outlet right now. And let me tell you, it's never been better time to go ahead and do this, because this is the time to do it. So go to www.stapletonAgency.com/discover-Bruce, and you can sign up there, and I will see you guys on December 11th. And I've got a great show for you today, guys. I've got a friend of mine from the Nomad Network, Rob Lindeman. This interview was videoed a couple of weeks ago. I'm using it to fill some time because I really didn't have another show today, didn't have a guest today. So I do have some stuff in the can that I want to share with you. And this is just a great video of two guys talking about what Rob does for a living here in Cape Cod, and I really appreciate him being on the show. So here we go. All right, let's get on with the show. All right, so here we go. How you doing? This is Bruce, aka the Weathered Soul, here on Bruce for Liberty podcast. We are finally recording here, and just wanted to welcome you guys all, whether you're listening on YouTube or whether you're listening to on Facebook, or whether you're getting this. You could be even getting this on the Nomad Network. I'm going to put that up right now. Hey, www.nomadnetwork.app.sign up /7YPNC4. Why is that? Because I'm in a contest to get more people on the network. But anyway, ignore what you see down in the bottom. Look at the guy over here on the right side. This is Rob Lindeman. He's going to be our guest today, and we are just happy to have everybody here. Bruce for Liberty is a podcast that's going to don't get fooled by the Liberty moniker that I put on there. This is about entrepreneurship. This is about how we got to the businesses that we're doing now. This is how we're getting by, whether we have success or failure. This is about how we're doing our autonomy, our nomad aspects, our entrepreneurialism, what we're doing now, what we did before, and what we're going to be doing in the future. And I'm just happy to be able to have this podcast and be able to do it and have this information out there to anybody who could absorb it. So if you like this, hit the like button, hit the share button, wherever you're seeing this at. Just give me a comment, comment about Rob, comment about me, comment about anything. But we're going to jump right into this. Rob Lindeman, how you doing today?
I'm great, Bruce. Thanks for the invitation. Happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to be here too, and hopefully we can get through all this stuff again and do this the right way the second time.
I'm just glad that the first time that we went through it, that my phone didn't ring. If that happens, I'm going to have to just kill it. I'm sorry. I'm going to put it on mute. Everybody who's watching this show, put your phones on mute. Do it right now. Put your phones on mute and pay attention to what Bruce has to say.
Rob, as we started before, we were talking something very in depth about how we got into these businesses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we have to do it by need. Sometimes we got to do it by urge and other reasons. So mm-hmm. I want you to kind of briefly or long-wise, really doesn't matter, brief or long, how you actually got into your businesses and how you're doing things.
Right. So my launch into the world of entrepreneurship was, well, actually, I want to take a half step back. My first practice was a strictly entrepreneurial effort. In fact, I dove into, and I learned a lot of lessons along the way. So I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, but let me talk about my most recent launch into the entrepreneurial world was not by choice, but by necessity. The two major things that I had done in my life, I had considered at the time, was to start a family and to start a career. And in a very brief span of time, less than 24 months actually, I destroyed them both. I lost my career and I became divorced. The timing was exquisite, as my father would have said, because he might have said exquisite, because I had my ass handed to me. Are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
We're allowed to do whatever you want to do. I don't subscribe to the Tom Woods version of my host, so we can say whatever we want.
There you go. I had my ass handed to me in the divorce, and very soon, to my surprise and horror, I was in a very bad place financially, and I needed to scramble. I did not yet know how to leverage the skills, knowledge, and experience that I had accumulated over the previous 30 years into some kind of venture that would make money. So, for example, I tried a sleep coaching business, and I know a lot about sleep. I had a lot of information to impart. I wrote about 12 months worth daily of what I consider to be excellent content. But because I didn't know how to market this business, I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship, really, that I thought what little I knew was of no use to me. And that thing failed. And I knew so little that I didn't even know how to preserve all of the content that I had created so that I could relaunch it now. So it's all gone. It was if it's on some hard disk somewhere, I'm going to have to hire a forensic computer guy to find it for me. But I mean, I didn't know. I wish that I had known then what I had known, what I know now. So I tried. My situation got so poor that, and I choose that word advisedly, that I had to do things like deliver pizza. I sold Aflac. I sold used cars. Probably the thing that made the most money for me was Uber, and that taught me a lot about what ride sharing really is, and really what a wonderful and really sort of revolutionary, and I don't think that's too strong a word, thing that the gig economy is and the ride sharing economy is, because it sort of represents the way a lot of business is going to be done, which is very different from the way business used to be done. Anyway, so I began a long, painful process of marshaling the skills, experience, and knowledge that I had into a way that I could make money, and made a lot of mistakes along the way. I had always been a paper editor. I just didn't do it very. There were long periods of time where I was too busy making money. But even when I was in graduate school, I was editing papers, academic papers that were written by people who didn't speak English as a first language so that they could get published in the peer-reviewed literature. And the peer-reviewed literature that's the literature that you can trust, because it's, before you can get it published, it has to be vetted by people in your field who know more than normal people. And it's hard to get published in English under the best of circumstances. If you can't express yourself well in English, you're screwed and your stuff is never going to get published. And so I probably did this for the first time. I remember I tell this, I don't know if I told this story in any of my videos, but it was probably 87 or 88 when some guy came to me. I had a reputation for being able to do this, and someone came up to me and said, "Rob, I heard that you're good at editing papers. Can you look at mine?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I edited it for him, and he gave me $50, and that was my. And I'd like to say that the rest is history, but the rest of it picks up 6 or 7 years ago. To make a long story short, now I have a business which is supporting me, and it pays health insurance and pays a salary, which is called Liberty Medical Communications, libertymedicalcommunications.com. Don't worry, I will be shocked if there is anybody in your audience who needs my services, because I have such a tight niche. So like we've, I don't know if we've made reference to our friend and colleague, Jason Stapleton, who talks about rare and specialized skills and tight niches. I have a rare and specialized skill. I'm bilingual in a couple ways. I'm bilingual in the sense that I've been told that I'm a master of my first language, which is English, and I speak medicalese and scientese. I'm also bilingual in the other sense, in that Brazilian Portuguese is the language that we speak at home, because my wife is Brazilian, and although she understands English, she prefers that we converse in Portuguese. So my clients are primarily Brazilian academics who don't speak English as a first language and need to have their papers published in the peer-reviewed literature and need help doing it, and that's what I do for them. I would love, I have actually experimented with this. I cannot describe what I do in fewer than 21 words. And the elevator has already reached the top floor by the time I get there. So this is a very, very tight niche. Anyway, so I wanted to get to this other business, because I'm not sure that you referred to it in your intro, but I'll tell you about it now. The fourth quarter every year for me sucks, and I don't know why. It's just the rhythm of academia is such that less work gets tossed to me in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter of last year was so bad that I had a mini panic attack, and I said, crap, what are we going to do? And now, and this is where Jason Stapleton's mentorship really came in handy. Spend less than you make, save and invest the rest in industries you understand. I said, we know an industry. Now, my wife, my current wife, by inclination and training, is actually a hairdresser. She owned 2 salons in Sao Paulo. But when she emigrated to the United States, discovered that it was way more expensive to be a hairdresser here than it was then, and certainly to start a business. So she did what a lot of Brazilian immigrants did, and she started a cleaning company because, just how like Brazilians have the corner of the market in Massachusetts. I don't know the way it is in other places. Like, for instance, in New York City and in Boston, the Somalis corner the parking garage industry. Don't know why that is. Right. Probably historically. But
historically,
it's Brazilian. It's Brazilians and cleaning companies. Great. I said, we know cleaning, or at least she knows cleaning. I know how to start a business. By this point, I had learned the hard way. And so in February 1st, 2021, we launched Liberty Siqueira. Now, why is it called Liberty Siqueira? Liberty, because we haven't talked about libertarianism, but because of my, I'm now a committed libertarian, even anarchist, but we don't need to get into political philosophy yet. If you don't want to. And every business in fact, there's an LLC that I started when I was still practicing. I started it for a purpose that never got fulfilled. I was going to be buying the office next to me, and that deal fell through. I had included the word liberty in it. And of course, there's Liberty Medical Communications. And every business that Josie had ever started, she named after herself. So I said, okay, this is the first business that we own jointly. Let's call it Liberty Secura. And we started it in February 1st, 2021. And then to my surprise and shock, this shit works. You know, if you save and invest money that you have in something that you know something about, good things tend to happen, as opposed to launching into a business that you don't know anything about. Like, for instance, I'll just give a trivial example. Landscaping. I know people who are landscapers. I've got family who are in landscaping, but I think I know how to start a lawnmower, a gasoline power lawnmower. That's about, I don't know crap about landscaping, and I would be foolish to get into landscaping because I don't know crap about it. However, cleaning service, at residential cleaning companies, I know something about. So we incorporated as of, now she'd been doing this for 11 years, mind you, but never incorporated. We incorporated it. And what immediately happened can be best described as, I don't know anybody uses this expression anymore. It's called Katie bar the door. It was like, please stop calling us. We turned a profit in our first month and have turned a profit in all 10 of the months that have followed. Every advertisement that we placed has made money for us. We have the opposite problem that I have as Liberty Medical Communications, which is getting clients. Our problem now is staffing the need. I can't find enough warm bodies to clean the houses for the people who are calling me. The quintessential nice problem to have. So a little bit, it's like riding the tiger. As we grow, I'm trying to keep the reins on this thing so that we don't screw up because we're growing so fast. And what I learned as from past mistakes is finally, after a lot of, in retrospect, it seemed like an eternity, but in reality, it really wasn't that long. But what I learned from a lot of failures and a lot of, and I didn't rehearse all of them for you, Bruce, was finally how to succeed. And unfortunately or fortunately, I mean, I think that we really need to embrace the suck and embrace failure, because you fail and fail and fail, and eventually you get it right. And there's a certain amount of luck that is folded into that. And I think that my wandering into the Jason Stapleton world may have been one of the lucky things that I had, listened to advice from various other people, and I document some of that on some of my channels. This guy struck me as, first of all, unusual among gurus in for his honesty, which is not available in the abundant supply that it should be. And also because of these principles, which I have just found have been useful. He used to talk about 5 principles on his old show. You may be able to.
I remember that.
But I can't. But I can remember.
That.
I can remember
small government, self-reliance, peace, liberty, and free markets. I remember.
Oh man, you're good. You are good. I couldn't possibly. I wonder if Jason could do it. He probably could. And I said, all right. So I have a goal now. And I don't know if I've shared this. I haven't shared this with anybody except for my partner in crime, who is actually, it's not crime, it's actually a legal business, which is Josie, and that is I was never a wealthy guy, but I made a comfortable living, and I want to get back to that. And if things continue on the rate that they're going, we're going to get there in a couple of years, which is never imagined was going to be possible.
Yeah, I think,
So,
when I started following you, I think it was probably about 2 months ago since I got into the network, and I've been subscribed to your YouTube page, which I'll pull up really right now. Let me pull that up. This is your YouTube page right here, and I mean, Rob puts out, probably what, I don't know how many different podcasts, but you have one where
only
you
two.
do
I only have two.
mom and dad jokes or dad jokes, and then
The
you've
dad
got
jokes are Tom Seast's. Those aren't
those are
mine.
Tom C's. Excuse me,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. But
no, I'm doing that for the sake. All right, I have only two podcasts.
Yeah.
And I have this channel which I'm currently not. The only thing that the public can actually see are the Liberty Freelance with Dr. Lindeman podcast.
That's what I was talking
That's the
about.
only one. The other ones, all of those are unlisted, and those are for and I'm keeping them here so I don't drive myself crazy with YouTube channels and email accounts. Having said that, I know that I'm the only residential cleaning company on Cape Cod who has a podcast. I may be the only one in the world. I really would like to go out and find out. But yes, we're a residential cleaning company, and actually now, as of now, a home watch company that has a podcast, and it's posted on another YouTube channel, which I'm not going to make you go look for.
Yeah, your journey that you've taken for this company is really interesting. I mean, I really like those videos. I mean, I'm behind by, I think, 2 episodes or something like that, the last 2 episodes that you've done. And one morning I just sat here and drank coffee and listened to every single episode up until the last 2. And I've been just going through that because I take bits and pieces out of everybody's experience, and if I could use it, I'm going to use it. I'm gonna grab onto it, and I'm going to use it. And to tell you the truth, when I see other people's podcasts or journeys into there, when I spark into Jason Stapleton, so much influence has been given, and good, transparent advice, and just wholesome, what I want to say, just real stuff, not the fake stuff, not the I'm just always trying to sell you something stuff. It's really good, honest, hardworking, common sense information that everybody can use. And I think that you've nailed it in that multi-episode podcast that you have going on into your journey into this cleaning service. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
So I started. Thank you for recognizing that, because that is precisely what I wanted to demonstrate here. And by the way, this is for the benefit of the people on the Nomad Network, and we're not getting paid for this yet.
Yet.
I'm doing this because really it's easy for me to do it. And what I've been doing in recent episodes, by the way, is also because I am appealing for help, because I may be getting into territory which for me is terra incognita, and I don't know how to proceed. So what I've done is I've documented what you do with money that you have left over to begin a business, and to everything from incorporation, starting a website, social media, getting your name out there, employees, getting an accountant, and all of those things along the way. And so I think that I've covered pretty much the history up till now, and then step by step, I'm sort of talking about what stage, what's right now. It's going to be more like a real-time documentation. Now, in parallel with that, I'm doing sort of a series the same about the nomadic part of what I do, which I think is really of more interest to people who are here, because this business, as long as I've got this device that my image is now transmitting to you through, as long as I've got this thing and an internet connection, it truly can be done from somewhere. I've got, as long as I got, is this still functioning? And I suppose I'm going to still need to type. I can and have done this from everywhere. I've done it from an airport at 4 o'clock in the morning in Fortaleza, Brazil. I've done it from let's see now, drove down to Florida. That's for those of you who know the East Coast. That's a hike from Massachusetts. Drove down to Florida and did the business all along the way, including down when I got there. To be fair, that was a vacation. So I only worked for my the clients who, my best clients, the ones who paid best while I was on vacation, but I still worked it from a hammock in northeastern Brazil, which I fell out of while it was a real first world problem. I fell out of my hammock while I was editing somebody's paper up there. I haven't talked about any of that, but I think it may be of interest and of some use to folks here to sort of see an example. And I really don't know how much of it is the kind of material that you can cherry pick from, and you can say, okay, that's something that that's an idea that I can use. That's a methodology that I can use, but I hope so. All I can do is tell my stories. And if other people can derive benefit from it, great. This is not meant to be a sort of a generic, this is how you start a land-based business using the principles of save and invest the rest in an industry so that you understand. This is not a generic story about this is how you start a nomadic business. I'm choosing deliberately to tell my story and hoping for the best, hoping that someone can say, oh, I've got a rare and specialized skill. Let me try to market that. And then if people want help or ideas with that, I may be somebody whose brain that they can pick. And I'm doing that for free. Now, I have in the offing, I have a whole bunch of contacts who are freelance writers and editors who are getting free advice from me now. And I may monetize that at some point into a way of, okay, you really want to learn how to do this? Great. I'll give you some content for free. And I've got a ton of that.
Right.
But if you want me, here's what it's going to cost you. And I've got my hands full right now, but that's something that I'm thinking about for the future. The sleep coaching business, probably I will not, never say never.
Yeah. Well, one of the essences that I have, and the reason why I had you on the show too, and the reason why I'm going to have the future guests on the show is because they do believe in this environment that we are in a community and that we are encouraging everybody to if you even have a little taste of wanting to do something on your own, that is worth at least giving it a try. I mean, I've had many failures, and because of myself, not because, I don't blame anybody else because, my podcast didn't go, or I used to sell Niken, which Niken was a magnet company. They were supposed to, the magic magnets.
Oh,
okay. And I've done all kinds of different jobs myself, and some have been successes, some have been failures. I still have a 9-to-5 that I do every day, but I'm also striving to go forward, and I'm willing to put myself out there and be able to have people on like you and other people on my show to be able to show people that you can put your skills to work. And not only can you put your skills to work, somebody else needs to hear your journey to be able to put their skills to work. And I think it's a real valuable asset that you go out there and you did that. You've done that footwork and been able to impress upon me some of the ideas that you've had, and hopefully somebody else will be able to grab onto some of those things. I mean, if you really want if you really want the step-by-step stuff, you go to Jason Stapleton and you take one of his courses and stuff like that, and that kind of give you a step-by-step way to get there. But just because you have a step-by-step way to get there doesn't mean that you have all the ins and outs figured out. Because I take for instance, I took his podcasting course, and great course. I mean, if you want to take a podcasting course, Podcast Domination is the course to take.
Did you take Podcast Domination?
Huh?
Yeah, I did too. I'll underscore that, all of you listeners. Highly recommend. Good stuff.
And, oh, and he shows you exactly how to do it, but there's a lot of ins and outs in between that of what to do, how to set up things, how to set up your camera, how to do all kinds of other things that he doesn't get into, but he does give you the step-by-step, stuff to do that. So if you need that, there's all kinds of people out there. But then there's people like me and you who get out there and say, hey, this is kind of, how my journey went, and that's how we're going. And I just really appreciate that you have taken the time to do that. So I wanted to underscore that and let you know that if you're out there, guys, and you've got a special skill, share that special skill. Can you monetize that skill? Absolutely, you can monetize that skill. Do it, and don't be shy about it. I mean, we're going to have many guests on this show that are going to be able to give you their trials and tribulations, and then their successes and their triumphs, and that's where we're going at. So tell me a little bit about your success, because what I'm looking at here is that this cleaning business is going off the charts, man. I love it. I remember you saying something about some of your advertising that you were doing, some of it good, some of it bad, and right. Just give our listeners and our viewers a little bit of taste of that.
Very simply. I started running a Google ad, and then went to Angie's List, which is rebranded. They now call themselves Angie. It's a residential. It's a place where people go to find a carpenter, to find a plumber, to find a residential home cleaner. Tends to be a little bit more upscale. You have to pay to be a member of this service. So the quality of the client that you get from Angie's List tends to have a longer LTV, long-term value, than our highest long-term value. Here I'm talking like I've been in business for years, but I have a large enough sample to be able to tell you that our LTV from Angie's List is substantial. And then I was with Yelp. Now Yelp besides being a pain in the ass to use, converts for crap. Even though we were making money from our Yelp ad, I killed it because we made money from all the ads. Essentially what I've done is made myself available. People call up, they like to hear the voice of somebody who speaks English articulately. If I may blow my own horn. That's one differentiator from a lot of our competitors, which consists of a lot of people who can't communicate their value proposition like I can. Mm-hmm. And we've positioned ourselves also to succeed in the sense that for viewers who don't know Cape Cod of Massachusetts, it's that, let's see now, how can we do this so it's going to show up okay, like this on the podcast. It looks like an arm that's poking out into the Atlantic Ocean like this. And there's a canal right here that separates it from Massachusetts. Anyway, that whole arm there is basically vacation land for people who live in the Northeast. And there are a lot of people who have vacation properties here, and a lot of them very high end. We've positioned ourselves to go for the high end of the market. So our website, our advertising, all kind of is aiming towards those people. Now, in the first couple months, if it was a three-dimensional object, we would clean it. But now we're starting to really sort of, because I bid high, and I'll tell you in a second what that means. We're getting the clients that we want. Now, there's a range of how much people charge to clean houses, and we're in the upper third of it already, 9 months into the business. We're expensive, but the quality of the work that we do reflects that, and our customer reviews reflect this also. So this is the market that I'm trying to foster, and I'm trying to offer them additional services as well. And I've documented this in the series as well, which is Home Watch, which I didn't even know was a thing. I had one of my clients asked me, said, "Do you do Home Watch?" And I said, "Humana," and then I went home and I Googled Home Watch, and then my mother is still alive, and I called her and I said, that guy who looks after your house when you're not there, is that Home Watch? And she said, yes, that's what it is. And I said, okay, I'll do Home Watch. So this is now a service I have.
Nice.
We have one client, but it's a way to increase to increase the long-term value of each client is to do a Home Watch for them. And we'll probably add other services. I mean, we really do we say that we're a concierge residential cleaning service. We have one client who's disabled, and her granddaughter was coming, and she needed to get a gallon of milk for her. And she said, would we buy, I mean, this is real concierge. We said, yes, we will buy this gallon of milk for you. So we bought a gallon of milk and brought it to her house on the day that we cleaned her bathrooms. So that's what we're doing right now. So I don't know what else I can tell you about Liberty Secura, apart from that. Keep your fingers crossed for us, because when the tourists come back and we have to clean the Airbnbs and Verbos, A, we're going to make a ton of money. I'm not embarrassed about saying that. And B, we're going to need a lot of help. and I'm going to be driving around like a crazy, stressed out, and swears are going to come out of my mouth that I wouldn't even dare to say on this program, as I'm making sure that we clean the 40 houses per Saturday that we're going to be cleaning next season. So pray for us, people. Those of you who believe in the deity, and just cross your fingers.
Okay, so we've actually covered the first two segments of the show,
okay,
of questions that I wanted to go through. And I know that when you get into a business and you get into, even if you have a 9-to-5 and other businesses and residuals this and residuals that coming in and that going out and stuff like that, we start talking about liberty, freedom, and your autonomy. Sometimes you get so overwhelmed and you go like, this is freedom? and things like that. But what really kind of drove you? I mean, we have already talked that you're a libertarian. We could talk about the anarchist thing. That's actually, we could do that all day long. But I mean, what is the actual essence of how you've some people approach their business aspects without a kind of a libertarian aspect. They're more about a corporatism, or they're more left or right. Doesn't matter. My essence is that I've always wanted to be able to be personally responsible for what I do. I mean, I'm personally responsible for my job that I do 9-to-5. They take great respect. They pay me really good at it. But that could go away like in an instant. I mean, with this vaccine mandate and stuff like that, all these contracts can go away. But when it comes down to my podcast, when it comes down to doing my plant and my plant-based supplement, probiotic business, other things, my One Cool CAD design, all the other stuff that I've got going on, it's really one of those things where I just want to be on my own. I want to be personally responsible for the income that I make, so and give my customers a quality product, but also the whole sense of the autonomy, the whole sense of the liberty, the whole sense of the freedom. How does that affect you, and how does that draw into all your businesses and what you're doing?
So it begins with a very simple principle. One principle from which, for me, virtually everything else follows. And that's the principle of self-ownership. I begin with an axiom, and that is that I own myself. Now, a corollary of that axiom is that nobody else owns me. A deity does not own me or my life. A state does not own me, right? No one else owns me. I own myself. Another corollary of self-ownership is that, well, I'm responsible for myself. Now, I can contract out certain aspects of the responsibility of self-responsibility as long as I'm going to pay somebody for it. Like, for instance, I pay somebody to live where I'm living right now. It's we rent as opposed to own, and that's a whole other discussion for another. We could talk for 2 hours about renting versus owning. and this guy owns this place, so I pay him, and that takes care of one of these fundamental needs, which is that I have some place to sleep, right? Everything else is on me, right? And I realized that in terms of protecting my property, that in theory I'm paying somebody to do it, but in fact the state has no duty to protect my person or property. I don't know if you knew that.
Right. Well, they've admitted that.
Okay. The state has no duty to protect, and which comes as a shock to some people. It's like, wait, what? They don't? No, in fact, they don't.
They don't.
And so I'm responsible. I'm responsible for that. And so it sucks to have to be responsible for yourself. And this is actually a lesson that I teach. I have one child who is a committed communist, and another who is probably a libertarian, although we don't really talk about the other one. Let me put it this way: he at least gets where Dad is coming from, and I think in some sense he's a libertarian. And I tell them both. I said, liberty sucks, right? I mean, self-responsibility. The reason why people flee from personal responsibility is because it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sucks, and that's why people really don't want liberty. I mean, Jason is absolutely right, man. And for me, they want it for a pretty good reason, is because it sucks, but I do prefer it. And there's something for me appealing about the idea that if I want to eat, I got to kill something, right? I eat what I kill. This is another thing that being in business I think that being in business for yourself really does create libertarians. People say that it creates conservative Republicans, but in fact, it doesn't. It creates libertarians. When you work your ass off for something and you build something and nobody freaking gave it to you, you did it yourself. The thought that you've got that you have to give away a substantial portion of this, or you're going to go to jail, becomes deeply offensive.
Yeah. And
I've had arguments with people who've said, well, that stuff was never yours to begin with. And I said, like, the hell it wasn't.
That's exactly why I have this podcast.
These are the words of somebody who has never had their own business, and has never created something, and has never endured risk in order to gain reward. And it's something that I think that, I don't know, maybe more people should try, and then they'll get it. Yeah. Right? I said, yeah. I think that folks forget, and I don't want to talk about politics, but I think that people forget that there was a time in the not so distant history of the world where there was no income tax, where governments you couldn't wage wars because they didn't have the money to do it. Right. And now we can wage permanent wars and we do, because we can pay for it. If the government stopped getting money from us in taxes, which they collect under the penalty of imprisonment, we wouldn't be killing women, children, and destroying property in countries that most of us, I would venture, myself included, even though I think I have an atlas back here somewhere. It's over there. My atlas of the world is over there. There we go. I probably could not find on a map, not easily.
Right.
And I think that being a self-made person, or being a business owner, changes your attitude about a lot of things. So I was a libertarian before I started on this particular journey, and we could talk about, Tom Woods always asks about people's libertarian journey. I know you didn't ask, so I won't ask that question of how I didn't get to this point the same way that everybody else did.
I wasn't a student of the Ron Paul movement. I was actually a student of Jason Stapleton. So that's kind of where I got mine. So that's where I started.
Oh, does he know that?
I don't think he knows that. In fact, that's probably the first time I've ever said that. although
wow.
although I've always had the inklings that I've always wanted to be this free. I'll tell you just a real brief history of me. I grew up in a Democratic household. I was a Democrat when I was a kid because I thought everybody owed me something whenever I failed. And then as I grew and became responsible for a job and have a family and wife and kids and stuff like that, I started growing conservative. Then I got tired of that and everything else, and I started seeing what was going on in the world around me. And lo and behold, found Jason Stapleton, and bang, here I am. So that's my short story of how I became a libertarian. And it's interesting, that you say with how you started your business and how it responds to liberty and freedom and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree. Liberty sucks. It really does. The freedom sucks, and your autonomy sucks because it's so hard to keep. And I think it was Benjamin Franklin said, we have a republic here. It's your responsibility. I'm going to paraphrase. It's your responsibility to keep it. Right. Well, the same thing goes with liberty, freedom, and autonomy. I mean, it's hard to do. I think the biggest, and you can comment on this because I'm going to ask you this, the biggest problem that I have is the risk. Putting the risk out there, putting yourself out there, putting your face out there, putting your voice out there, putting your investment out there. Those are the things that I think scare me the most. So go ahead and extenuate on that.
They are scary, and but hunger is a powerful motivator. And if you get to that point, you'll do what you need to do. I know an individual who was in a similar circumstance, who had to resort to sex work to basically to put food on the table. And I think that not many people in my social circles growing up knew someone like that. But like I say, if you have to dig into your couch to get change, to go, I think Jason tells stories like this, right?
Yeah.
That's a powerful motivator.
Yeah. When you buy a $5 pizza that has to last you 4 days. I mean, yeah, I know that apartment or that basement apartment that he rented and stuff like that. That's an incredible, powerful story.
Let me say this about risk, Bruce, and to those of you who are listening to this who agree, yeah, I'm risk averse. Like anything else, it's something that you get used to. I was highly risk averse at first. Well, in a way, at least with regard to these kinds of ventures. It gets better. I think that your risk aversion decreases the longer that you are in the business of taking risk. It's like anything else. I think that your first success goes a long way towards reducing that risk. But, I'm hoping that my story and that certainly Jason's story is one where you will give people hope. It isn't really a false hope, but the truth is that you have to take risk or there will be no reward, because nobody is going to hand any of this stuff to you. But I think that just like, if I bang myself in the head long enough with my tube of hand sanitizer, it eventually will stop hurting. I think that the longer that you take risk, you are in the process of taking risks or in the habit of taking risks to win your liberty. Yep. The easier it will get. It'll never be easy, but it will get easier.
Well, one of these days I'll let Jason know that he's the reason why. that I think the way that I do. Actually, like I said, I had the inklings before, and then I've come this way so far, and it's been great. And yeah, the risk and the reward. Once you get the reward, it's fantastic to be able to, number one, just kind of reap in it, and then of course, yeah, it starts hurting less. I mean, you whip a dog long enough with the whip, and he starts liking the whip. So, but hey, where are you at going forward with this? Because we're going to tie this up, and I just wanted to let you know, Rob, thank you for being on the show, man, because this is one of many shows and many guests that I'm going to have, and I think that it's very interesting and pivotal for people to come in here and tell their stories about how they got there, where they're going, or where they've been and where they're going. And I want to know, where are you going? Where is Rob Lindeman going in the next year or two? Where is he going?
So where I'm going is, as I've said, I have shorter term goals. Is that I want to get back to, not to put too fine a point on it, at least in terms of annual salary that I was making in my previous life, to get back to there. I'm going to grow. We're going to grow Liberty Sequeira into $1 million company, and that sounds ambitious, but I worked out the numbers. It's actually shockingly easy to do $1 million of revenue in this in this economy, in this market. So that's going to happen. What's probably going to happen is that Liberty Medical Communications will probably evolve into more of, I will always help out people doing papers, because it's easy. Takes me an hour to do a standard journal article, and it pays well. So why not? But I will probably end up teaching people how to do this more than I am doing it myself. And whether that's going to, what kind of form that's going to take, I'm not really sure. Like I say, I've got my hands full right now. In terms of goals beyond this, of what there is, I've done some things that I think a lot of the younger people who watch your stuff, or maybe on the Nomad Network, don't do, which is think about end game, which is that I'm eventually probably going to sell both these businesses and gift them to my children. So, folks, think end game, okay?
Think end game, yeah. Think end game.
Someday you're going to have to do it. So, Bruce, even to the point of, I've bought burial insurance, and I've told my kids, I said, don't pay to get me, to put me in the ground. I've taken care of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I talk about planning end game, I talk about, I mean end game. So that was a very long, detailed question to answer to a very simple question.
Well, like I said, I want to thank you for being here. Why don't you plug yourself? Anything that you want to say, anything that you want to promote?
I will, but you guys, look, if any of my potential clients are out there, I will be shocked. I'll be gratified if they're listening to your show, but why not? Why not shoot? Liberty Medical Communications, all one word, .com is my writing and editing business. And libertysequeira.com, at Liberty Sequeira on all of our socials, is our residential cleaning and home watch company. So if you have, I know Pooler may watch this, but he's got a commercial, Peter Pooler, he's got a residential, a commercial cleaning company in Plymouth, which is not a competitor. So we're not stepping on anybody's toes. So if you're watching this, man, get entrepreneurial, expand your mind, man. I
haven't seen Peter Pooler on the network yet.
I know you're busy, but libertysequeira.com, and I'm not gonna. The Liberty freelance stuff is really kind of on hold right now. But I've been a freelancer for long enough now that I think that I've got some that's in the offing. So look out for that, for the more from Dr. Lindeman. If you want to learn how to be a freelancer in the writing and editing space that I'm in, stay tuned. More good stuff to come.
Well, I'm going to reference off of a friend of ours, Chris Harkos. Dr. Rob, this is Brucey Bruce. You can catch both of us on, You can catch both of us on the Nomad Network, www.nomadnetwork.app. For those of you that are listening from the outside of the network, this is a great place to go if you want to get involved with people that are upcoming in business, that are entrepreneurs, that have aspirations. Some people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Some people are just starting out. Some people are podcasters, artists, tattooists, musicians. I mean, you name it. We have it there on the Nomad Network. And I just want to invite everybody there. And I want to thank Rob again, man. Thank you for being on the show. And I hope you all the best in your endeavors. And I know that you will be out there encouraging everybody as long as you can on increasing their liberty and increasing their autonomy and increasing their worth by going into business for themselves, man. Thank you much.
Thanks for having me, Bruce.
You bet, man. Thanks. All right. Well, that was a fun interview with Rob Lindeman, and I want to really thank him again for being here on the Bruce for Liberty podcast, because this is a fun podcast for me. It's one of my single podcasts I get to do, other than the Morning Drive with Bruce, aka The Weather Soul, which you can get on YouTube also in the morning. Every morning you can get that somewhere around 6:30, 7 o'clock. It'll post on YouTube. I'm having a little problem getting the audio going on, but we'll get it on pretty soon. Somehow, some way, we'll get it on, and I'm sorry with the audio right there. I didn't have the microphone right in front of me. I was busy doing some work as the video was going on. But anyway, I wanted to thank you again for being here, Bruce for Liberty podcast. Also, I want to remind you of the Discover 2022 that's going to be going on December 11th. I'm going to show you once more. Go to www.stapletoniagency.com/discover-Bruce. And you can sign up there. It's going to be a fantastic podcast, a free event to help you unlock the hidden talents, skills, and passions, and the abilities you can use to increase your income and your impact in 2022. And I cannot tell you how important that this event is. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, if it wasn't for Jason Stapleton and the motivation from the Nomad Network and the people that I hang out with at the Nomad Network, which is basically the place that I'm hanging out with now, you can still catch me over on Facebook and on Twitter and different little areas. But for the most part, I'm spending a lot of my time over on the Nomad Network, and it's just an incredible place to be. It's a motivational place. People are positive, uplifting. They're telling you their wins. They're telling you their failures. This is what Bruce for Liberty is all about. Yeah, we talk about freedom and autonomy and liberty and stuff like that, but you can only attain that if you drive yourself to get away and start taking care of your own self for your own income and for your own autonomy, for your own freedom, for your own self-sufficiency, because you own yourself and you own the work that comes out of your body. So I just want to encourage you guys to go out there one more time, www.stapletonAgency.com/discover-Bruce. You can go there, sign up December 11th between 9 and 12 p.m. in the afternoon or in the morning. So that's going to be Central Time, yeah, Arizona time. Anyway, it's going to be a great event. So I hope you guys had a great time here today, and I hope you got a lot out of it. If you did, hit that share button, hit that like button, and more importantly, subscribe to the Weathered Soul Liberty Network, because I've got a great podcast coming to you, the Weathered Soul podcast, which is our landmark, our flagship show. I've got Bruce for Liberty that comes out every once in a while or every 2 weeks. I've got the In the Pit of My Stomach that comes out every 2 weeks. Me and John Odermatt get together and we talk about plant-based supplements and probiotics. And lo and behold, the last one I want to say is that I need you to go there and listen to the excuse me, I can barely talk right now because it's getting late. But anyway, for the Morning Drive with Bruce, aka the Weathered Soul. Bruce, aka the Weathered Soul, with the Morning Drive. That is our main one that we do every day. I have a great time talking to you for about 10 minutes a day, even less sometimes. I try not to take too much of your time, just to give you my insights, little storytelling on my way to work. And that's Bruce, aka the Weathered Soul. That's the Morning Drive. So until next time we see each other, you guys stay peaceful, and we will talk to you later.